All right, so Matt, I learned a little known fact today. I don't know how much you know about koi fish, but did you know that they always travel in groups of 4?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, whether you've got 75 or whatever, they're always going to group in packs of 4. And that way, it's a defensive mechanism. And that way, if a predator comes up to them, then the A, B, and C koi can run away and leave the decoy behind. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Graveyard. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Adam.
And my name's Matt.
Now, pull up a tombstone or settle into your casket and get comfortable because this is Graveyard Tales. All right, everybody, here we are again. Matt, how you doing tonight, brother?
And I'm doing pretty good.
Excellent.
Doing pretty good. Yeah. Everything has kind of been moving in a positive direction for me.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So I'm happy about that.
That's good. It's been a little wonky for me. Had my truck broken into and crap stolen from me, but you know,
that is the worst. And
it feels terrible, dude.
You have spent so much on glass for your vehicles in the last few years that I recall, having similar conversations about you getting a window fixed multiple times.
Yeah. I mean, the first windshield I got with the truck, there was something defective with it. So if a June bug hit it too hard, it would crack. And so now that I got the new Toyota windshield, it hadn't done that, but somebody decided while we were eating that they were going to bust my back window out and rifle through my truck. And they took my go bag that I keep that has med kit, tourniquet, all that kind of stuff in their flashlight. And then my nicotine. Yeah. And so they got off with, they got off with a lot. But not as much as they were hoping for, because most of it they're not going to care about. But it's the invasion of privacy and the lack of respect that these people have for anybody else.
No kidding. And to be just so brazen while you're parked at a restaurant.
Yep.
I mean, I can't believe that parking lot was empty enough to nobody to see anything or to, just feel like, nobody's looking. I'm going to bust a stinking window.
Yep. And of course, the restaurant didn't have cameras or anything. I went and asked. They don't have cameras, despite the employees asking the owners to put cameras out there, because I didn't find this out until then. It happens on a regular basis there.
Oh, no. Because they don't have cameras.
Because they don't have cameras, and that restaurant is pretty close to I-20, so people will hit it and then jump on 20 and be gone. And
man.
Yeah, so we're not going to that restaurant anymore. We're not going to that area anymore. And I've been telling everybody that lives around here, don't go to that area. If you can avoid it, stop going to that restaurant, which sucks because it's a nice restaurant and good food.
Yeah.
But sorry.
Just give the customers a little bit of security.
Yep, exactly. But on a whole nother note, we want to say go check out the Podbelly Network at podbelly.com. You can find a list of shows that we're happy to be associated with, and you can find some tips and tricks on podcasting if you want to start a podcast, podbelly.com. We also want to thank tonight's sponsor, Factor Meals, and we will talk more about them coming up. And while you're on the internet doing your thing, share Graveyard Tales. Whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever. Share Graveyard Tales and, invite some friends to the show, get the name going across there. We do it a lot, but it helps when you guys do it as well, because the way that independent podcasts like Graveyard Tales get spread is by word of mouth of the listeners.
Yeah.
We don't have advertising agencies that promote the show like some of these bigger company shows do. So you have to be our advertising agents for us. And if you like something, if you like an episode, if you like just the show in general, share that on social media and get some more people listening.
Yeah, put it on Facebook, post it on your Instagram, tweet about it, anything. It helps the show. It makes Adam and I feel good. But it's how we got started, and it's how we're going to be able to continue. And for all of you that have done it, and we've seen it so many times, thank you so much. So much.
Yep. Yeah, if you've done it, we can't thank you enough. If you do it after hearing this, we can't thank you enough. So just please share the show and get some more people into the graveyard.
Yeah.
Now, Matt, that's all I got for the intro and the housekeeping and all that. So why don't you tell us, what are we talking about tonight, brother?
So tonight we're gonna look at a couple of different topics that fit together. We had started researching this years ago, and we kind of bailed on it. But we thought, you know what, we're at a point now where I think we're comfortable enough behind the mics to give this topic or these topics their due, and try to do it well. We're going to discuss Djinn and Angels, and the connection between the two. And I think a lot of people don't know what Djinn are.
Right.
I assure you, if you associate Djinn with genie, it is not Robin Williams, a big blue Robin Williams popping out of a lamp.
Yep.
This is not what that is. And, and I assure you, if you think that, angels are these little fat, chubby babies wearing a diaper with wings,
cherub,
and shooting bows and arrows, or this very stately Scandinavian looking fellow with these large white wings, wrong again. So we're gonna clear up some of those misconceptions. We're gonna talk about the connections between the two, give you a little history behind it. It's really, really fascinating, and honestly, we're just gonna scratch the surface here. But we're hopefully gonna get you to think about things a little bit different than what you have. And this episode is for anybody. If you're spiritual, not spiritual, it doesn't matter. We're not looking at it. We're not looking at it from that point of view. We're looking at it as these are, beings, whether you want to think of them as mythical or whatever. We're going to discuss this just like we would anything else.
Right.
All right.
Right.
So Adam, tell us about the Djinn.
All right. So as we always say, go check our sources down at the bottom of the show notes. You can find where we found all this information. And like Matt said, we're just scratching the surface. So you can keep going and do a really deep dive into these things. But go bottom of the show notes, check our sources. Now, what is a Djinn? And you will see it spelled DJINN or JINN. Either one is appropriate, I guess, depending on what language you are reading it from. But there's two pretty similar definitions that come up mainly. But the first one is, it's an invisible spirit mentioned in the Quran and believed by Muslims to inhabit the earth and influence mankind by appearing in the form of humans or animals. Or it's an intelligent spirit of lower rank than the angels, able to appear in human and animal forms and to possess humans. So we already see a link with angels because it's in the same pantheon, I guess, but they're lower rank,
yeah,
than the angels. And if y'all just heard that, there was a big clap of thunder. The wind is raging outside.
Right on cue, right?
Yep. This wasn't supposed to hit till tomorrow night, but, synchronicities. Anyway, and now you may say, I've heard that name, but I'm not sure exactly what it is. Or you say, I have no idea what these are. Well, I have good news for you. Not only are we going to get into it, but I'm pretty sure you have seen one depicted before, but weren't aware that's what it was because it was in such a cartoony form.
Right.
And it's exactly like Matt said. Disney's Aladdin actually portrayed a djinn, but it was Genie played by Robin Williams. And the thought of a djinn being a genie, that's what it is. But
yeah,
they gussied it up, friendlied him up, and made him into something palatable for children and took away all the bad stuff and left just the good stuff.
And I think it's one of those situations to where they speak of jinn in Middle Eastern literature.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you look at, what is it? 1001 Arabian Nights.
Yep.
You look at they mention all these different aspects, and jinn is one of those aspects where it was fairly understood what they were and where they stood, but as it became portrayed more in media from literature, as the time separated them more, it was just kind of exactly how Adam said. It was made more palatable with this idea of these creatures that were or entities that were somehow trapped. The concept of the three wishes, mm-hmm. and all of that, rubbing the lamp, all of that stuff. It was just kind of, it was fabricated to build this palatable persona.
Yep. A more friendly mythos.
Think about something like Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Yes.
Yep. Wendy the Good Witch. We're gonna take something that is potentially frightening, dangerous, and we're gonna make it a little softer. We're gonna give it a little different background. So that's essentially what they've done.
Yep. And despite the portrayal of Genie being friendly, funny, helpful, most of the stories you hear about the jinn are scary. Yeah. And they can be quite malevolent, and they definitely won't be as funny as Robin Williams unless it's the best way for them to trick you.
Yeah.
Because they are a trickster spirit. But it's also said that they can be good, kind beings at times. They're very similar to the human race in that sense. They embody both good and evil, and you can run across a helpful jinn or an evil jinn. It just depends on the emotions of that jinn, because they don't think of them as some spirit like we think of, where they're stuck with this, whatever they had in life, they're evil or they're demonic. They're not. They can be, and they can move between, they don't like you. Well, then they're going to be terrible to you, but they like your neighbor. So they're going to be nice to your neighbor, and won't do the bad things to your neighbor. So they are very much in the sense of human emotion. They have that. So, but the jinn in the Islamic world are similar to angels and demons in the Christian world.
Mm-hmm.
In that sense, the jinn embody that angel demon thing very, very much so. So if you hear someone from the Islamic world mention the jinn, then they could be talking about a demonic spirit that a someone in the Christian world would be talking about. Now, jinn is pretty synonymous with the word genie. So if you hear someone saying genie, then you can say, okay, that's the jinn. The fabled genies described in the pre-Islamic mythology of Arabia can appear as everything from snakes to scorpions to humans. And although these spirits are neither inherently good nor bad, some alleged sightings over the years have been nothing but terrifying.
Yeah.
And it's unclear exactly when the specific concept of the jinn first emerged, but we do know that the spirits have served as a source of inspiration and fear. In the Arab world, long before the 7th century introduction of Islam, they were talked about, they were discussed over campfires in hushed tones. This concept of the jinn has been around a long time, much like angels have been around for a long time, that concept. And obviously, they still have significance to this day, because you still have modern day jinn sightings. You have modern day stories of the jinn happening. Now, while the jinn are mentioned in the Quran, and therefore they're part of Islam, the spirits are not worshipped in the faith.
Right, yeah.
It's not like where Catholic practitioners worship angels or a deity in that sense, like a saint or whatever. Mm-hmm. The Islamic world does not think of the jinn in that sense. So there's no worship. But they're thought to transcend the boundaries of the physical world. So they're said to be made of smokeless fire. And if you look into the jinn, you'll hear they're made of smokeless fire. They were made out of smokeless fire. And pre-Islamic Arabs believed that the jinn could control the elements and turn plots of land fertile or infertile. And while this might sound unnerving, they say, jinn have also inspired some of the most revered classical Arab poets across history. So, quote, poets in pre-Islamic Arabia often said they had a special genie that was their companion, said Sunila Mubai, a researcher of Arabic literature. Quote, sometimes they would attribute their verses to the jinn. So kind of like a muse. And maybe that's where the thought of the wishes come from. Because if they have a jinn as a muse and they need to write something, maybe that thought of, this person says they're associated with a jinn that helps them with the writing. Mm-hmm. Maybe that was their wish. And that this jinn granted that wish of, here is the verse you need for this poem.
Yeah.
And I'll get into the smokeless fire again here in a minute. I know I just kind of brushed past that, but I got more coming up on that. Some scholars, they say, are adamant that human beings can't fully comprehend the jinn.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They are considered to be a part of the unseen, in Islam.
Yep.
So they are not present for humans to interact with, much just like angels in Islam. They are not there for humans to have any kind of interaction with.
Yeah. Not intentionally, and not, I'm going to go out and interact with this jinn.
Right.
But it is generally agreed among believers that the jinn can interact in their own realm as well as our realm. So in that way, they can fall in love and even have sexual relations with human beings. So they could take the form of a human and then have relations with another human in that sense. Mm-hmm. And they, like I said before, they have emotions, they have feelings, but they have their own realm that you think of alternate dimensions running parallel with our own. and you and I have discussed what if ghosts are actually someone in another dimension that overlaps our own, and we're just catching glimpses of them, coming in and out. That's kind of the way the Djinn are. They're in and out of our realm and their realm.
Mm-hmm.
It goes on to say that, quote, as spiritual entities, the Djinn are considered dual dimensional, wrote Amira El-Zain, author of Islam, Arabs, and the Intelligent World of the Djinn, quote, with the ability to live and operate in both manifest and invisible domains. So
they definitely have powers. They were granted these powers by their creator, which, if that's God, if it's Allah, they were created and gifted these powers that, are different from the powers that angels have. And certainly, humans got the short end of the stick on that. But because of that, they can hold a little bit of power over humans. But the thing that where Adam was talking about, you talked about the fact that they can fall in love and they can have relationships, and we already know they're supposedly have this power to possess other humans. They have free will. They have the ability to choose what they do. So they weren't created to do one or the other. They get to pick,
Yeah, they're just an entity that coincides in our realm.
Yeah, just like humans. We get to choose. We get to choose how we live and what we believe, and Djinn are the same way.
Yep. And Muslims believe that evil Djinn can sometimes possess human beings, as some Christians believe that demons can possess people.
Right.
So if you run across an evil Djinn, they can possess you and do stuff to you in the same way that a demon could. Now, verses of the Quran and the Hadiths show unambiguously that the Djinn were created of fire without smoke. Now, according to Ibn Abbas, the expression, quote, without smoke means, quote, the end of the flame. Now, other scientists think that this expression means the purest of fires. So what's important to know is that the Djinn were created of fire and therefore have a constitution completely different from ours. So the Djinn were actually created before man. And while the Djinn were made of fire, man was made of clay, and angels were created of light.
Mm-hmm.
So the Djinn and angels were made, and then man was made. So the Djinn were made of fire, the angels were made of light, and then when humans were made, they were made out of clay. So if you think about what we've talked about before with aliens, and I mentioned that, okay, we're carbon-based life forms. Mm-hmm. What if an alien is zinc-based or hydrogen-based? Then their makeup is going to be completely different, and the physical laws that affect them are going to be different than ours. That's the same way with Djinn. Because they are made of fire, our physical laws don't apply to them.
Right.
Now, apparently, the Djinn were mentioned by Allah in the Quran. So even Allah mentioned them, such as God, Jesus mentioned angels and demons. Now, the Djinn actually prefer to live in places that are not inhabited by man. So they live here on Earth, but they choose places like deserts and wastelands that are not inhabited by man. Some like to live in dirty places. So like trash cans and dumpsters and stuff, which is weird to me.
What? Yeah. And you know what? I came across this too. And I was thinking maybe that's where the lamp thing comes from. The oil lamp, it's old, it's dirty. the people, they rub it because they're trying to clean it up to see if it's of any value at all.
Yeah.
You know, and boom, you know, out pops this genie. Why is it in the lamp? How did it get trapped in the lamp? We thought the lamp was trash.
Mm-hmm.
And that I thought, I wonder if that's where that comes from.
Yep. It could be. Could very well be. Can you imagine like rubbing a trash can and a genie pops out of it?
Oscar the Grouch.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. Maybe Oscar's a djinn. But, you know, we were talking about the different attitudes and emotions that djinn have. Some of them, they do like to live among mankind. So you'll find them, you can run across them living in the same places as humans, in their house, in their garden, something. But the djinn usually like to live in these dirty places because they like to eat the remainders of food that's thrown away by people. But djinn can also live in cemeteries and ruins. So that's a big, a big talking point among people who believe in djinn, that if you go to cemeteries or you go to buildings that are in ruins, old buildings that are dilapidated, most likely a djinn will be living there because it's uninhabited. They can have the place to themselves. There's no humans around, and they just prefer that aesthetic.
Right. So, yeah.
Now, the djinn have the capacity to take many forms, like I said, and to change their appearance. And according to the Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, they can take a human or animal form such as a cow, a scorpion, a snake, or a bird. And the black dog, they say, is the devil of the dogs. And the djinn often appear in this form. They can also appear in the form of a black cat. So that's kind of where that black dog, black cat thing comes from for people of the Islamic faith, is if they see a black dog or a black cat, it's quite possible that could be a djinn masquerading as an animal.
Well, and that's very similar to, being out in the, in the Western U.S. and seeing a coyote that's out of context, something like that. And
trickster spirit.
It'd be a spirit, be a skinwalker. There's some similarities there too.
Yep, very much so. Now, when a djinn takes human or animal form, it has to obey the physical laws of that form. So, it'll be possible to see it and to kill it with like a gunshot or to wound it with a knife if it takes the form. Like if you see a black dog and it's a djinn in the form of a black dog, you can kill that djinn by shooting this dog with a gun because it has to obey the physical laws of the form that it takes.
I figured it would just, you wouldn't kill it. It would just, whatever the form would just cease to exist.
Yeah. Now, I wasn't able to find if the djinn can then
remanifest.
Yeah. But everything I see says that if it takes the form of a dog, then it's vulnerable to everything a dog is vulnerable to.
Interesting.
Right. And it's because of this that djinn will only remain in these forms for a short time since they are vulnerable.
Yeah.
And it says, in fact, they benefit from their invisibility to frighten people.
Yeah, being invisible. It's one of the top 5 superpowers.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
If I can turn invisible, look out.
Yeah. Oh, I am. You're going to be peeping on me. Matt, are you looking at me again?
That's going to get old, Then you have to decide, I got to start fighting crime. Man,
exactly.
What? There's nothing else to do,
Yeah, at this point, I've peeped on Adam in the shower so much, I'm over it. And I don't like his shower routine anymore, so I got to go fight some criminals.
That's right.
Now, it's said that humans and Djinn are afraid of each other. Like the Djinn aren't, it's not like they're not afraid of humans. The Djinn are actually afraid of humans, but the Djinn are able to create more fear in humans because of their abilities. So, they have powers that humans don't have, so they can create more fear. Even though they might be afraid of humans in their area, they're going to twist that, and they can sense fear in humans. So they're able to capitalize on that and scare the humans more. So it's like, they say animals can smell fear.
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently the Djinn can too. So let's look at a few actual experiences here of people who have experienced something with the Djinn. Now, this one says this incident happened 2 to 3 years ago with my sister. She was in the washroom when she heard a few knocks on the door. Well, she thought it was me because I usually annoy her. So she got mad and she started cussing at the door. Well, she says that as soon as she uttered the cuss words, she felt as if someone entered the washroom. So she said she checked the door. It was still locked, and says she kind of sighed with relief, thinking, okay, that's good. Nobody snuck in here while I had my back turned.
Right.
But as soon as she got done, she went near the bathroom sink to wash up, and the teller says, I heard my sister scream. So I ran to help her, and she was crying in pain. She said that she felt like something pulled her hair really hard when she was near the sink. She said, I initially thought it might have been like a lizard or something that fell on her head and got trapped in her hair and was pulling it. But
which
she
would
said
suck.
I couldn't. Oh, yeah, that would be bad,
that would
too.
suck.
I would cut my hair off if I kept getting stuff stuck in it. Says, but I couldn't see any lizard in her hair or in the bathroom or anything. And she said it felt like something very heavy and wet was on the center of her head. And I checked, but there was nothing there. So it was almost more than an hour after this incident, but she was still in a lot of pain. So she says, we told our parents about it, and then she told everything that happened. Well, at first, she says her parents were hesitant to believe it, but as her pain got worse, they ended up having to buy it, buy into the whole thing. Well, the next day, she says my sister was still in a lot of pain, and she had taken a painkiller, but that didn't help. So their mother went to a priest and told him what had happened. Well, he came to the house and called for the sister, and he recited some holy verses, blew in the holy water, and made her drink the water. Well, after drinking the water, her pain started to relieve itself and go away. So the priest then inspected the bathroom, and he told us that a Djinn dwells in our house and we should not disturb him. He also told us that he can't force the Djinn to leave our home because it might create havoc later on. Well,
and he lives in the toilet. How terrible.
And it lives there in the bathroom. Well, he said if we don't disturb the Djinn, it won't harm us. Said he might show us his presence by doing some paranormal type stuff, but you have to ignore it. Well, after that incident, a lot of stuff happened with her and her mother, but they just ignored it, and they've learned to coexist with this Djinn.
So maybe the Djinn just wanted, well, I see, ultimately maybe just to be left alone.
Yeah.
But maybe at some point wanted some acknowledgement. Yeah, I was thinking attention is not the right word. Acknowledgement.
No. Yeah, this is my space. And Matt's light just went out. So really good timing, because the Djinn in Matt's house.
The Djinn, and all of a sudden, blink.
The Djinn in Matt's house wants some acknowledgement too.
Yeah, I'm trying out a new light. I was really excited. I guess I didn't have it charged all the way.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's like mine, it's got to charge for a while, but
yeah,
that's funny.
Now I've got this kind of eerie. I'm like, now you think I'm going to tell you a really scary story?
Yeah, right. I was going to say I kind of like it. I kind of like the way
it's kind of cool.
lit.
But yeah, just to finish up what I was saying, he just wanted the humans to say, "We know you're here," okay, and then actively leave him alone, so he understands. Okay, you know I'm here. You know to show me respect. I'll leave you alone. You leave me alone.
Right. But Matt and I were talking before we started this, and I was saying that it seems like the Djinn could be mistaken as a ghost or something paranormal.
True enough.
Or the other way around. You could say, I have a ghost, but it could actually be a Djinn. Or you could say, I've got a poltergeist. Well, no, it might actually be a Djinn. Or you could have a Djinn, and then you think, oh, well, all this activity is spirit related. But I got a few short ones here that I'll get into because they kind of fit into both territories, but because of them coming out of the Islamic world, they're attributed more to Jinn than anything else. Well, all these stories that I got coming up next were actually collected by a journalist named Ahmed Ali Akbar. He put out a call for Jinn stories, Jinn encounters, and he got a bunch of these linked in the sources, but I didn't get all of them. He's got more, but I got some of the ones that I thought were interesting. Now, this one says, one time my mother-in-law was sitting in her bed and she looked over and saw a woman sitting in the chair next to her bed. It had long, pointy fingers and a face with very sharp angles. She was so frustrated and annoyed with the jinns because they see a lot of them in their house and they're no longer afraid of them. They're just really annoyed by them.
Right.
That she reached out and she grabbed the jinn by its wrist. She yelled, "Get out! I'm tired of you! Get out!" And it started to try to pull its wrist away. And it couldn't get away from this mother-in-law's grip. So eventually it tried to bite her hand so that she would let go. Well, she pulled her hand away before it bit her, and then the jinn vanished.
Yeah.
So I just think it's crazy that this lady has had so much experience with jinn. She's not scared, but she's just fed up, and she reached out and grabbed the jinn and is physically holding on to this jinn.
I know that is crazy, but we have talked about people that have experienced hauntings and have gotten to the point where that they feel the same way.
Yeah.
Just get out, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Yep. Quit making all the daggum racket. We want to try and sleep.
Yeah.
And what's amazing, just like this story, a lot of people have found that to be very effective.
Yeah. Well, you remember in my Hendersonville house, Frank?
Yeah.
That was there? Okay. I'm sure longtime listeners will know the story of Frank in my house, but there was one night that Frank kept kind of banging in the bathroom and it would wake me up all the time. Well, of course I wake up, now I got to pee. So I go into the bathroom and I'm still hearing these bumps and bangs, and I was fed up and I yelled, "Frank, I have to get up at 4 a.m. Please stop making this noise." And it stopped for the rest of the night. So it does, you do get to a point where you're like, just stop. I know you're here. I'm going to acknowledge you, but leave me alone. And this lady was about ready to fight a jinn, which I think is badass. But
that's right.
Now this next one says, at my boarding school, we had a few cases of bullying. In one instance, a bully broke a chain on a student's neck. As soon as that happened, the girl started to speak in a male voice while her body contorted in strange positions. Now, it said that it was a jinn, and it had traveled from a faraway place to possess her. Meanwhile, the bully's tongue swelled and almost prevented the bully from breathing. Long story short, the teachers were called into the room, and apparently this girl's parents knew and had gotten the chain for their daughter from a shaman to hold the jinn in.
Oh my
so they
God.
knew that their daughter was possessed by Djinn. So they got this locket to basically keep the Djinn at bay. And when that bully broke it, the Djinn came through.
Oh my gosh. That is insane.
I know. I love that. That's so cool.
I mean, that sounds like a movie.
Yeah. Yep.
Or at least an episode of Supernatural or something.
Right. And apparently when the girl was speaking in the male voice, that's when she said, I'm a Djinn and I traveled here from a faraway place. So it's just wild.
Yeah.
Now, next one says, so apparently in Saudi, my aunt lived in a house that was always visited by a particular Djinn who used to annoy her family. Once she was laying in bed at night with her husband and she felt that something was off. And when she left the room, she found her actual husband watching TV on the couch. So when they went back to the bedroom to confront the Djinn, it just laughed and then vanished.
Yeah. Can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man.
But bump.
If you love puns.
I wish I had a good rim shot sound effect that I could put in there. Now, I thought this next one was cool. It says, my great uncle went to visit his cousins in India. His cousins told him that since it was the summertime, they would all sleep in the courtyard together. However, they said that he wasn't allowed to place his bedding in this one particular corner because apparently a Djinn slept there and strange things happened if anyone disturbs that corner. So it says my great uncle said it was nonsense and he decided to sleep there anyway. So one night he woke up on the other side of the courtyard.
Oh God.
So yeah. Well, he laughed at first and he thought it was his cousins who were pranking him. So he decided to sleep there again. Well, the following night, the same thing happened. So he left a note on his pillow saying, quote, stop pranking me. I know there is no Djinn. Well, that night he said he was pushed off his bed and his bedding was thrown on the other side of the courtyard. And there was a note thrown into his lap which said, quote, I sleep here. So the scary part is
crazy.
It wasn't that dark and he didn't see anybody.
Yeah,
so
because they're invisible.
Yeah, so the note was thrown in his lap and all of this happened and there was nobody there. It was all, can you imagine? You write this smart ass note and then you get another note thrown at you that says, I sleep here.
Yes. That's nuts. But I love it. I love that, I'm going to totally denounce your existence. And then, I'm going to screw up your night's sleep.
Yep, exactly. All right. One last one, pretty quick. It says, my uncle once told me a story about this couple. The husband used to work in the force, so he would be sent away on long trips outside of the village. Well, his wife was usually lonely, but she befriended this man. This man would sit on the courtyard wall with his back facing her, so she could only see his face when he turned around to answer back. So he's sitting there back to her. She says something. He goes to answer. He turns and looks at her and answers and then turns away again. Well, apparently it was this pretty sweet friendship. And one evening she asked the man to, hop down from the wall, come over and have some tea and bring your wife along. Would like to be friends with her. Well, instead of getting down and using the door, he took his leg and stretched it 10 feet down on the wall to her side of the yard. So Stretch Armstrong, like, Mr. Fantastic kind of thing.
Yeah.
As he was coming down, he said, why didn't you offer me tea before? I'd love to come and have chai with you. So this real stretchy, and at that point, Matt, you have to have chai with this guy.
Yeah.
There's no turning back now. Scared or not, you're like, well, if he can do that with his legs, he's got to be, something crazy. So
he's like a character from One Piece or something, just stretch him out.
Yep.
That is bizarre. And I mean, when you start when you start looking into these stories and they're fascinating. They're like, again, whether it's, a Bigfoot sighting here in the U.S. or somebody's talking about a haunted experience. I mean, these are the same type stories, and these people experience something. And they do have that unique underlying thread that whatever is haunting them is intelligent and has understanding of the world and how things work and how to get a point across.
Yep.
So it's beyond that intelligent haunting. This is an intelligent being that's trying to exist, and you're infringing upon that.
Yep.
Man, it's pretty amazing.
All right, so let's take a second and talk about tonight's sponsor, Factor Meals. Now, eating better is easy with Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals. Every fresh, never frozen meal is chef-crafted, dietitian-approved, and ready to go in just 2 minutes. You'll have over 35 options to choose from every week, including Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. And there's more than 60 add-ons to help you stay fueled up and feeling good all day long. And that's the cool part, Matt, is you get them and they come pre-packaged with the meal and the side, and then you pop it in the microwave for 2 minutes, and you have what tastes like a restaurant quality meal while you're sitting here editing audio and looking at our dumb faces on video.
Yeah, I mean, how much more convenient can you get? And beyond that, it's delicious too.
Right.
Good food, it's easy, doesn't require a whole lot of effort. You can heat it up and go. I mean, what could be wrong with that? I mean, we're talking about 2-minute meals. Fuel up fast with Factor's restaurant quality meals that are ready to heat and eat wherever you are. Pancakes, smoothies, and more. You can discover a wide variety of easy options for the entire day, like breakfast, midday bites, and more. No prep, no mess. That's two of my favorite things about, eating.
Right.
No prep, no mess.
Yeah.
Factor meals are ready to heat and eat, so there's no prepping, no cooking, and no cleanup. So right now you can sign up and save. We've done the math. Factor is less expensive than takeout, and every meal is dietitian approved to be nutritious and delicious.
And it really is.
So if Factor Meals sounds too good to be true for you, head to factormeals.com/grave50. That's GRAVE50 and use our code GRAVE50 and get 50% off.
That's right. Head to factormeals.com/grave50, GRAVE50, and use our code GRAVE50 to get 50% off. That's code GRAVE50 at factormeals.com/grave50, and you'll get 50% off.
So as we said, we wanted to talk about the Djinn, but we're also going to talk about angels. And Adam has touched on some of the connections that Djinn and angels have. So let's just briefly look at angels, and what their connection might be. Now the word angel in the Bible is translated from the Hebrew word malach and the Greek word angelos, and they both mean messenger. So this is connected to the belief that God sends angels to humans to convey messages or instructions. So stories in the Bible tell how angels guide or protect or comfort or even warn humans on earth. Mm-hmm. And they do that through dreams, visions, and even in-person encounters. So there's numerous stories where an angel appeared to an individual, in the Bible. Now, according to the Quran, angels are not visible to mankind. So the Prophet Muhammad was allowed or given the ability to see the angel Jibril or Gabriel, same angel, different language. But the Quran says that we shouldn't be concerned with how the angels appear. In one hadith, the Prophet says, I have been given permission to speak about one of the angels of God who carry the throne. It says the distance between his earlobes and his shoulders is equivalent to a 700-year journey. So, in Islam, the idea that an angel would appear to a human, that's not happening. Angels are invisible and they don't interact, with humans. And the one human that was known to have an interaction with an angel was Muhammad. So it's Muhammad was the prophet. He was the one that was allowed to interact with an angel. Just regular humans, we're not going to see these angels.
Right.
So, Christianity and Judaism looks at things a little bit different. But they all have one commonality, and that's that the angels, the jinn, they are both connected to a supreme being. Whether that supreme being be God, whether it be Allah, whether it be the, just the, ethereal creator of the universe, whatever, the higher intelligence, whatever you want to believe, the angels and the jinn were created, by this entity.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to look at why each one was created to understand the difference between the two and how they connect. We talked about how they were created just like humans were created. Angels were created of light, by the creator. The jinn were created by the smokeless fire.
Mm-hmm.
And humans were created from mud and clay. So they all kind of fit in there as creations of this divine being, but they all have a different role. And the angels were created to worship that supreme being, to serve that supreme being. And because of that, angels lack free will, which we touched on earlier. So they don't have a choice. The jinn, they do.
Yep.
They can decide, do I want to worship my creator or do I want to find my own way?
Right.
Do I want to interact with these humans peacefully or do I want to cause them problems? But I think much like angels, the jinn, they have the power to do these things. They don't all have the motivation to do it or the need. They're not passing along information like angels seem to do, and they're not providing a protection unless they choose to do so.
Right.
They
could choose that for sure.
Yeah. If God or Allah wanted an angel to protect, a human or a group of humans, then that angel would be instructed to do so and would follow through, whether the humans experienced it, and understood that it was an angel or not.
Yeah.
And we're going to look at a couple of examples where it may not have been necessarily an angel, but it seemed like it took a form that a human could relate to. It's like a jinn, appearing as an animal or appearing as another human. If I want to interact with these humans because of the way they are, I'm going to have to appear somewhat human, or they're not going to be accepting.
Right.
Now, as I said, angels are highly associated with Christianity and with Judaism, but all major religions have some type of celestial being that serve or act as messengers for this higher power. So Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, as I mentioned, Judaism and Christianity for sure, and even New Age spirituality. They reference angels. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, religions like Hinduism and Buddhism, as well as belief systems like New Age spirituality, they say that angels can be beings who have worked their way up from low to high. They've crossed over these spiritual planes by passing these spiritual tests, and they can continue to grow wiser and stronger even after they've achieved an angelic state. What does that sound like? Enlightenment. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And there's, numerous religions that the goal is to achieve enlightenment, and therefore you are raising your spirit to a higher level.
Right.
And, in some of these beliefs, you can become an angel yourself if your spirit becomes enlightened and you pass through these tests.
Yeah.
Now, in Islam, Muslims believe in the existence of all the creatures that Allah has created, which, other than mankind, includes jinn and angels. But both jinn and angels exist parallel to humans. We're on the same plane, but there are interactions between them and mankind, but we can't see them.
Right.
So that's where they have the term the unseen. So jinn and angels are considered to be a part of the unseen. Now, Judaism, Christianity, Islam say that an important part of an angel's duty or their work, angel's job, he's got to punch a clock, come into work, polish his wings.
Reminds me of those cartoons with a dog and a cat punch in together at the beginning and end of the day.
Yeah. Hey, Bill, how you doing?
Yep.
Another day, another dollar, Sam. Yep. But their job is to worship the God that created them. Whether that be just praising the supreme being in heaven. But some religions say that all angels serve God faithfully. Okay. Some religions say that maybe some of these angels aren't always dedicated to serving the God or the higher power.
Mm-hmm.
For example, the demons, which are considered in Christianity to be angels that were cast out or rebelled against God. And some people actually believe that Shaitan, or Satan, okay, is a fallen angel. That's whether you want to say Lucifer or whatever. The idea that there was an angel that was cast out because he rebelled against God, and this became Satan, essentially. According to Islam, that's not accurate, because an angel is a creation that cannot disobey the command of Allah. They are made to serve and obey Allah. So they can't disobey. So what does that leave us? It says that Shaitan he's a jinn, not a fallen angel. So a jinn who had free will to turn against Allah became Shaitan. So let that sink in. It's just it goes outside of what Christianity believes, is that, Satan or Shaitan is actually a former angel that was cast out. Both believe that this entity exists, that this evil entity exists. Just how he got to be there, that is a different path. And because of the existence of jinn and their nature, Islam says he couldn't have been an angel because the angels will have to obey Allah. Now, among other things that angels are considered to do, it is recording the activities that people choose to do. Humans have free will. We can do what we want, but the angels just take note of it. And, some believers say that there's an archangel named Metatron. Have you ever heard that name before, Adam?
Yeah, but I don't know why I've heard it, but I have heard that name.
It sounds a lot like Megatron, so it makes me think of the Transformers. But this one is Metatron, and I've seen this before, and I didn't exactly understand because, again, I was thinking Megatron. But this archangel Metatron records everything that happens in the universe. So with the help from the other angels and the power of their angelic rank, they're able to essentially take a history of every single thing that happens in the universe or has happened. Islam says that God created angels called Kiraman Katibin, and I'm probably mispronouncing that, so I apologize. But these angels specialize in recording deeds, and these angels specialize in recording deeds, and that God assigns 2 of those angels to each person. One recording the person's good deeds and another reporting the person's evil deeds. The idea that you have a little white and a white angel and a red devil sitting on your shoulder trying to help you make a choice, that's where that idea comes from.
There's some people whose bad recording angel is going to have to get like a court reporter thing, like a stenographer. Yeah, and just, good Lord, stop doing so much. I can't keep up.
I love the image of the angel statue like covering the face.
Mm-hmm.
This is, my guardian angel when it sees me about to do some stupid stuff.
Yep. I saw one that was like, my guardian angel has to be in need of a vacation. And I'm like, that's how I feel with my younger self. My guardian angel had to go on vacation for a while because I put that through some heck, man.
Yes. But even in Sikhism, there are angels named Kitar and Gupta, and they record the decisions of all people, with Kitar recording deeds that other humans see, and Gupta recording deeds that are hidden from other people but known to God. So the stuff you do in the shadows, Gupta is sitting over there with a pen and paper going, yeah, I saw that. I saw that too. Yeah, nobody else saw it, but I did, and I'm telling on you.
I saw where your hand just went.
So, I mean, the idea, again, that, not only are angels there for humanity, they are there to monitor and observe and report back to God on humanity, which is an interesting concept if you believe in a omnipotent God. What does he really need these? He's like, can you imagine the angel coming up giving the report? Here's Adam Ballinger's report for March 3rd, 2024. This guy's like, I know. Yeah, I know that too. Yeah, I know. Tell me something I don't know.
You don't have to tell me. Just write it down. I already know it. Just write it down.
Yeah, just put it in the bucket with the rest of them. No, not that bucket. It goes in the bad bucket, the red bucket.
Yeah.
It's Adam's bucket.
Yeah. See the big red one with the name Adam on it? That's actually his dedicated thing. That's not a joke.
But let's talk about what angels look like, Adam. We've all seen the
They
pictures.
look like my wife.
That's right.
Oh.
That's right. Minus the wings.
Right, right. Her wings are bigger.
That's
not what you mean. Never mind.
But that is a common thing. If take Christmas time, for example. You know, if you celebrate Christmas, or if you live in an area that celebrates Christmas, one of the things you see is an angel on top of the Christmas tree. It's an old tradition. You know, it goes back to the idea of, if you celebrate that Christ was born at Christmas, the angel that appeared to the shepherds and announced the birth of the Messiah.
Yeah.
So, the angels, you see them, they're on the tree. What do they all got? They all got wings. They've all got wings. If it didn't have wings, it wouldn't look like an angel. That wouldn't be what you thought. If I asked you, let's say I asked one of the kids, draw me an angel. No matter what, anything else was there, the wings would be there.
Yep.
Okay. But that may not necessarily be an accurate image of what angels look like, nor are all angels the same. They don't have the same appearance. They are able to take on different forms, or they have a dedicated form that's unlike anything we have imagined.
Mm.
But most modern sources believe that they don't appear like this, and that the humanoid form with the big wings comes from artists' interpretations over the centuries. In fact, it's believed that the true form of many angels far exceed what the human mind could even comprehend. So angels will take on an appearance that would appeal to the being that they are interacting with. If they were interacting with an animal, they would look like that animal. So the wings could be an amalgamation of several angelic forms molded into one. Some scholars say that since early people's idea of heaven was high up in the sky, and the only creatures that they knew that could get up into the sky were birds, if angels were in heaven, then they must have wings too. Have you seen it? No. But how the hell else are they going to get up there?
Yeah, right.
Okay. Right. So, they look different. They have different jobs. They have different roles that they play. We're going to let's look at just a few of these. Actually, I found 9 different types of angels. Some of them you have heard of. Some of them I had no idea.
All right.
And this was new. And remember, I was raised Christian, went to a Christian school from first grade all the way through high school. And I went to a Christian university. Now, I've never come across these.
All right.
Okay. Some of them I already knew, but several of them is new to me. But let's talk about the ones we do know, like seraphim. You've heard that.
Yep.
It's in several songs and hymns, and seraphim means the fiery ones. These angels they're mentioned in the Bible as having faces, hands, and feet. And each of the seraphim have 6 wings, 4 of which they use to cover themselves in the presence of God as a sign of humility, and they use the other 2 to fly. So this is part of the imagery that we get from that traditional angel image. So here's another one that you'll be familiar with, the cherubim, or that's the plural of cherub. Okay. These are the ones, the little fat baby, with the wings. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But these angels, the cherubim, they are the keepers of celestial records, and they hold the knowledge of God. So they know what God knows. They are sent to earth and given very important tasks, like expelling humankind from the Garden of Eden. And if you're familiar with the Adam and Eve story, they're cast out of the Garden of Eden after they disobey God and eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And an angel is stationed at the entrance to the garden to prevent them from coming back in. And that angel is said to have been a cherub, or a part of the cherubim.
Okay.
And ancient artworks depicts the cherubim as these almost sphinx-like creatures with wings and human faces. Certainly not anything like the little Cupid-looking, creatures that we've typically would think of when you think of the word cherub.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's an interesting thing that I had never, ever heard before. Some believe that Satan was a cherub before he was cast out.
Yeah, I've not heard that either.
I don't know how in the heck you know that, or you could even assume that. I would, I guess there is some writings that would indicate that. But that's kind of cool. That's one of those crazy facts. You're like, huh, never thought about it. Now, the next one, this is really different. These angels are called thrones. Now, the throne's appearance is probably the most bizarre, okay, of this first grouping of angels. They are said to look like great glowing wheels covered with many eyes. They serve as God's chariot and dispense his judgment in order to carry out his desires for us. So, giant wheels covered with eyes. A lot of people have done AI depictions of angels based on these less than traditional descriptions. Yeah. And the images they come up with are unbelievable. I mean, they're just like, what is this? And you're telling me this is an angel. Okay.
Yeah.
But according to this, it's a glowing wheel covered with eyes. It's kind of different. Now these, the next ones, we're not going to go over all of them because some of them really aren't that interesting, to be honest with you. But let's look at powers. Now, in their celestial form, powers appear like brightly colored, hazy fumes, almost like this gaseous being. It says powers are border patrol agents. They patrol the border between heaven and earth.
Okay.
So they're like the angelic police.
Yeah.
They are the angels of birth and death. Okay. So, the idea that, an angel brings a soul, into the world, through birth, or accepts a soul back after death. These are the powers. Okay. Some believe that the powers also preside over demons who are looking to overthrow the world. But the powers have also been mistaken for evil entities themselves, specifically in the story of St. Paul. And we're not going to get into that, but they're not the kind, friendly beings. They have a job, they have a duty, and it involves making sure that nothing passes through that border between heaven and earth that isn't supposed to.
That's a good job.
Yeah, it's a good job. Just nice work if you can get it. Government job.
Yeah.
So the next one is the archangels, which we've heard that term before. Now, these, along with the lower ranking angels, are guardians of people and all things physical. But it says don't call the archangels to come and help you personally. Archangels respond best when dealing with matters involving all of humankind. So if you're getting mugged, an archangel is most likely not going to come and save you. But if there was, an asteroid that was headed straight for the earth to make direct impact, then this is where an archangel would step in. Okay. It's a physical threat to all of humankind.
So that's why you see in the older battles for humanity, the archangels will be the ones to like the Archangel Gabriel and
Yes.
stuff like that.
Yep.
But
that is
you don't see them coming down and helping one specific person.
Yeah, these aren't the angels that are helping a lame child walk.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are the ones you see depicted in art of having armor and swords and fighting hordes of demons.
Fiery sword. And...
Yeah, these are the archangels. Now, this order is commonly known because some of the archangels are mentioned by name. Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael.
Mm-hmm.
And archangels or archangels engage in spiritual warfare by fighting the demons, like Michael. Or they bring messages from God, such as Gabriel, when he came to Mary to tell her that she was going to be the mother of Jesus. But it is widely believed that there are only 7 archangels. So, Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael are 3 of them. I didn't get into, well, we already talked about Metatron as being another one. So, these are a very small and unique order of angels.
And you never hear about the other ones. Like,
right.
Unless you dive deep into it, you don't hear the name of the other ones.
I'm trying to think if you hear the names of other angels other than archangels.
Yeah, I never have.
Like Timmy, Timmy the angel.
Bocephus.
Bernie, those guys.
Bernie and Bocephus came down to help me out.
This sounds like a Waylon Jennings song.
Mm-hmm.
So then there's just angels. There's a rank of angels that is just called angels. And these are also known as the regular angels. These are the guardians of people, and they're also the most common type. These are the ones that are the typical messengers to humanity. These are where guardian angels come from.
Okay.
Angels may act to protect or warn humans, but they do also serve as like the grunts, the ground troops, on behalf of God in the battle against the demons and evil. Now, people from all over the world have reported encounters with mysterious beings that have been associated with angels. I mean, every continent, with the exception of maybe Antarctica, has thousands of personal encounters from angels, whether it being, my grandmother was in the hospital and had cancer, and we prayed and we prayed all night. And the next day the doctor says, we can't find the cancer anymore. From those miraculous things to events like I was dead. A burglar broke into my house and shot me. I've actually felt the bullet hit my body, but then I was just encompassed by this warm feeling of peace. And I heard a voice tell me, everything's going to be fine. You're okay. And then I felt thrusted back and no bullet wound. Those are the type of stories that we typically think of when someone says, I had an encounter with an angel. It's not something where I was walking down the hall one night and I had to go to the bathroom and the bathroom light was on and there was an angel in there stretching his wings. They're not like that. Okay. But, because there are so many, God knows I must have read probably 40 of these.
Yeah.
But I narrowed it down to 2, just, for the sake of brevity. I wanted to talk about these 2 because these 2 I thought were particularly interesting and good representations of what these interactions with angels are.
Okay.
So this one comes from a lady named Deb, and this one it was told in the third person. It says, back in 1980, Deb was a single mother with 2 infants living in San Bernardino County, California. She occasionally needed reliable babysitters. Fortunately, her parents lived only about 30 miles away in Altaloma. Now, Deb would usually drop off the children at her parents' house, go do what she needed to do, then pick them up in the evening. One night, Deb had retrieved her children from her parents' house and was headed home. It was pretty late, about 11:30 p.m., and Deb was driving her, beat-up old clunker vehicle. And among the car's many problems, the gas gauge was broken, and it required her to guess when she needed to put gas in the tank, and occasionally her guesses were off. So halfway home, the car started to sputter, Deb remembers, and I realized I was on empty. I pulled off the first ramp I could, and it just happened to be the one that was slightly uphill. Almost at the top of the exit, my car died, and there was absolutely nothing around except empty fields and distant lights at a truck stop about a quarter of a mile down the road. So Deb says with no cars in sight, she didn't know what to do. The kids were asleep, and walking miles while carrying two kids in the middle of the night really wasn't something she thought she needed to do. And this was before the time of cell phones, so she couldn't just pick it up and call for help. So she said, I put my head on the steering wheel, and while saying a short and panicky prayer, she's like, I hadn't even finished when I heard a few taps on my window. She says when she looked up, she saw a clean-cut young man standing there, who Deb estimated to be about 21 years old. He motioned for her to roll down her window. She says, I remember I was surprised, but I wasn't even the slightest bit afraid, even though normally I would have been terrified. She said the young man was dressed well and had a faint smell of soap. But that's another common thing is angels smell like soap. No, I made that up. I don't know why she says, I guess maybe, if I smell clean, then maybe I'm not a vagrant. Maybe I'm not somebody that would be looking to do you harm.
Yeah. Yep. Maybe.
She said he didn't ask if she needed help. Instead, he told her to put the car in neutral, and he would help her get over that last small hill toward a place where she could get gas. She said she thanked him and followed his instructions, and the car started moving. She said, I started steering toward the lights of the truck. I started steering toward the lights of the truck stop and turned around to yell thank you to the man again. She says he was so nice. My car kept moving, but the young man was nowhere in sight. She goes, wow. And this area was completely remote. There was absolutely nowhere he could have gone that quickly. And even if there was somewhere to go, she's like, I don't even know where he came from to begin with. So Deb's car continued to roll down the hill until it reached the truck stop. She was able to get the gas that she needed, and the kids remained asleep. She says, I always thought it was so amazing that we were sent someone who I would trust instinctively without question. Since that incident, I've come to believe that we probably encounter angels all the time and take for granted who they really are. I think they come in all shapes and sizes, young and old, and sometimes when we least expect them. So, this is a situation, again, where if an angel comes to you, he's going to come to you in a form that you would accept. Not going to take on a form that is going to, like, this benefits me, the angel, to come to you in this form. If this person was an angel, like I said, even though it was kind of odd, the soap thing, it does kind of make sense. If you smell clean, you didn't just wander up off the street, Right. So that may have had something to do with it. Young, 21, an adult woman, a mother that sees a young male, that looks well-dressed and groomed. She's not going to immediately be afraid of that as she would be if it was like an old grizzled truck driver.
True.
Okay. Well, and he may be perfectly fine, but he wouldn't have that appearance to her. And then not hesitating, not asking her questions, just saying, hey, this is what you need to do, and I'm going to push your car, and we're going to get you where you need to go. And then that's what happened, and then it was gone. So very short. But this is how a lot of these someone in distress angel stories, this is kind of how they go. Now, this next one, this was posted on the website, Quora, Quora. We've mentioned stuff from there before, but Quora is an online question and answer forum where people post the question, and the members can come on there and they can answer it to the best of their ability. But this was posted in response to the question, has anyone ever had an experience with an angel? Like I said, this was posted by a woman named Gina. She says, it was an early spring morning. I was dressing for work. It was such a sunny, warm morning. I chose a pretty pink skirt suit, white stockings, and heels. As I walked out, front door wide open, I glanced at my winter coat, smiled, and left it behind. By the time work was out, there was a dramatic drop in temperature and about 6 inches of snow on the ground, and it was still snowing. She says, this, welcome to St. Louis weather. So she tells us where she was. She says St. Louis has some pretty dangerous neighborhoods, and she always took caution to drive, because she drove past one on her way home. And she says, just as I was coming up to that township, I heard this loud boom as one of my tires went out right at the turnoff. She said, I had no choice but to get off the highway with the roads as they were. Someone could have easily slid right into me at full speed by accident. She said, I took the turnoff. My car was hobbled with a flip-flopping sound of the tire down to the stop sign, and she parked just a few feet away. She says her ex had used her jack and not put it back. She found this after she had taken the lug nuts off. So she put the lug nuts on the car console and walked to the closest neighborhood that was an apartment complex, hoping to use somebody's phone. She says no one would open their doors. They would come to them and find out who was knocking, but then they wouldn't open to them, a stranger in need. And, she says rightfully so. This wasn't a great neighborhood. People were very skeptical. You come to their door in the middle of the night.
Sure.
So she said, I started walking back to my car. I was freezing, soaked from head to toe, and the thick snow just kept getting deeper. She says, I started to cry because I was worried my situation was not good and getting worse. Said, I said a little prayer. Please, God, help me. She said, a couple of times while walking to my car and thinking, prayer isn't going to be the help. It's not going to be the answer. But she says, as she got close enough to see her car through the snow, she saw a man looking into her driver's side window. And she thought to herself, there's somebody trying to break into my car. And so she got kind of scared and thought, should I approach? I'm not really in a position where I could fight anybody. But she was so cold and her feet were starting to feel numb that she said, he could kill me and I wouldn't care. I just needed to get into my car and warm up. So she says, as she got closer, the guy was now half inside the passenger side of the car. She says, I was around 20 feet away, and he pulled out of my car and picked something up off the ground and was moving around the car. She said he had my spare tire. He had to fix the flat. He had to fix the flat to steal my car, is what she was thinking. But he was inside the car to get the lugs that she had put on the center console. And she said, finally, I got there and was standing behind him. He was changing the tire with his own jack. Said I was close enough now that I could see through the snow that 10 feet from my car was his truck and it was running. He wasn't stealing my car. He was just changing my tire. She said, he saw me come up behind him and he stood up, pulled off his coat and put it around me and walked over to his truck door and told me to get inside. I just stood there. She wasn't sure if getting in his truck was a good idea.
Yeah.
But then she saw a picture of him with what must have been his wife and kids on his sun visor. And on the dash, he had an angel statue. So she decided she would get in. She said he didn't say anything else to me. He went back to fixing my tire. When he was done, he put my flat in the trunk, got in the front seat of my car, and started it. Then he came back to get me. He still didn't say anything. Said, usually when guys go out of their way to help her, she said there was a catch. Said, not with this guy. He didn't even want to talk. So she was, I got out of his truck and started thanking him profusely. He told me to drive safely. I started to walk away, and I stopped and yelled out to him, hey, I don't even know your name. She said he yelled back that it was John something. At the time, she said she couldn't remember the last name. I walked back over and hugged him and said, thank you. And how did he know that I needed his help? He said that he saw my car from the highway and figured someone might need help. He said he had a wife and a few kids, and if she was in this situation, he would want someone to help. He had a county water sticker on his dash. And Gina said she had a friend that worked there. So she asked him about the sticker, and he said he worked there. And so she told him, thank you again. And he told me to go on and get to my car, and he didn't pull out until she was back on the highway. So later, Gina did call her friend and say that some guy that worked with him at County Water was a hero that day. And he told me there wasn't a John with that last name that worked there. And she told him, nah, you can't know everybody. But she said this guy was a supervisor, and the county water department wasn't that big of a division. She's like, I've drove past that turnoff where she had her flat tire hundreds of times. She says, no matter how hard I try, there is no way that this man would have seen her car from the highway. She says, so let's say that some guy named John did work at County Water and he did see me from the highway. Said there's something very special about this man that makes him feel responsible for taking care of other human beings. And she says, that's angel enough for me. So, it really makes you wonder, are there angels? Are there jinn? Are there beings on this earth that interact with us on a regular basis? And sometimes we don't even realize it. And we're not talking about, some ghost that lives in your basement. We're not talking about some cryptid that's out in the woods behind your house. We're talking about entities that exist on earth right alongside humans that do regular routines on our behalf or maybe even against us, and we're not even aware of it.
Yeah.
But yet, many of the religious texts of the world speak about these entities and that's exactly what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So as I said at the beginning of the show, you don't have to be spiritual to appreciate and enjoy, this topic. It's just amazing to think, we'll believe in aliens, we'll believe in ghosts, we'll believe in Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster, but because of the connection to angels and jinn to religion, there's so many people that are either all in or all out.
Right.
Regardless of what your other belief is. If you don't believe an angel, came and helped you, if you don't believe that a jinn, took a house guest and threw his bedding, across a courtyard because he was in his spot, that's fine. But I think in some ways you're also saying that you don't believe these centuries of text that somewhat confirm their existence.
Right.
So, I'm always saying, look, you can't be closed-minded to one thing. and totally open-minded to another that's connected to it.
Yep, exactly.
You know, you've either you're with it, you may not understand it. You know, I mean, Adam and I understand very little about what we talk about.
Right.
But, you know, we're open-minded enough to at least consider the possibility that these things happen or these things exist.
Mm-hmm.
So, tell us what you believe. I mean, you don't have, we don't want to know if you go to church, you go to synagogue, you pray to Allah every day. We don't need to know that. Do you believe that there are angels? Do you believe that there are jinn, these entities on this planet that are just as intelligent and understanding of the way this world works as we are? And they often interact with us on a regular basis. Tell us what you think. And the best place to do that is in our Facebook group. Go on Facebook, search Graveyard Tales. You will see it. It's called The Graveyard. It's a fantastic place. It's one of the best groups that you can be a part of, especially if you love topics like this. You see regular discussions. We see, jokes, cut ups. We love the interaction. It's a safe place. So jump in there and check it out if you haven't already. You can go to our website, which is graveyardpodcast.com, and there you can find links to purchase Graveyard Tales merchandise. Hey, you want that Skull Mike water bottle to hang out at the pool so that everybody can go, hey, I like that. What is that? So now is the time. Now is the time. Jump in there and find you that new tank top or t-shirt for summer. Get that water bottle. We appreciate it. We don't really make any money off the merch, but we appreciate folks that, are willing to put our name out there, and show us the support. We really do appreciate that. But also on our website, you can become a patron. And, if you jump in there, our $10 patrons get access to our new show, Side Quest, which one of our good buddies, fellow podcaster and good friend, Chris Williamson, was with us tonight recording our fifth episode of Side Quest. So if you're not a $10 patron, you want to check that out, we promise you it is totally different than what you just listened to. And it's a lot of fun, and we get into a lot of different topics. So check it out. And thank you to everybody who has donated to the show. We appreciate it. It's really how Adam and I keep everything going, and put out quality content for our listeners. Man, Adam, I honestly think my voice is failing. I can feel it.
Mine is for sure. Yeah.
So on that note, until next time, we'll save you a seat in the graveyard.
See you soon.